pug.
Ready? All right, council members, please take your seat. Where's Canulet? Him in red? Yeah, why don't you go grab him? Somebody grab him. Tell him, come on. Yeah. I want to welcome everyone to the October edition of the Parish Council meeting. I'm going to ask Mr. Smith to do the invocation and then to have Mr. Stefancic lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Grateful to thee for all the blessings that thou hast bestowed upon us during these years. We acknowledge that all life comes from thee according to thy own good time. Help us, dear God, to be faithful unto thee and to commit ourselves into your blessed will. Use the example of our lives and the testimony of our lips to help others for as long as we shall live upon this earth. In Jesus' name we ask it all. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Ford, take the roll, please.
Mr. Dean? Mr. Sharp? Mr. Thompson? Mr. Falconer? Mr. Tanner? Mr. Groby? Mr. Gould?
Present.
Mr. Canulet? Mr. Belisario? Miss O'Brien? Mr. Stefancic? Mr. Bender? Here. Mr. Artigue? Mr. Smith? You have it.
Okay. First item is a presentation by New Heights Therapeutic Riding. Mr. Sharp?
We're very glad to have representatives from the New Heights Therapeutic Riding Program. We'll let them make their presentation, tell us a little bit about the program. Cindy?
First, let me thank the council for this resolution and for this opportunity. We are so very honored. I just want to share a few quick words about New Heights, and then I would like to turn this over to Kristen O'Keefe, our board president. New Heights has been a part of this wonderful community for 14 years, providing equestrian therapy to children and adults with disability. We like to refer to our herd of 12 horses, all of them donated by our community, as our herd of heroes. Those heroes provide our riders with opportunities for a movement that cannot be replicated on a mat or on any type of machine. This up and down, side to side, backward and forward movement challenges each and every part of the musculature of our riders. If any of you ride, or if you've made the mistake of taking a trail ride on a vacation, you know how hard the work is to ride a horse. The horse's movement is also very unique in that it's highly rhythmic, and it can take a very hyperactive child with autism and help them to calm down. It can also stimulate a very somnolent child with a brain injury and create much more awareness of what's going on around them. But there's a part of what happens at New Heights that can't be measured or described, and it's a little piece of magic. When you place a child or an adult who has spent their life in a wheelchair looking up at the world on top of a horse, and they get to look down, their backs straighten, their shoulders go back, they raise their head, and a smile breaks out. It's the most special moment in the world, and I wish each and every one of you could see it and share it with us. We currently serve 66 riders per week. That's more than a 50% increase in the last 6 months. There's a real groundswell of need in our community for these services. These services require more than 200 volunteer hours per week. Our volunteers are often on either side of the rider or in front of the horse. They work in our barns, they work on our grounds, and they're an important and critical part of making New Heights work. Every child we place in a saddle costs $125 per ride in order to have the types of horses we have and training, liability insurance, and having all of those volunteers recruited and trained. We collect less than $50 per ride, so we're raising $75 to $80 per ride every week. We don't turn anyone away because of an inability to pay. And that means that we have a huge burden for fundraising to make this program work. I just want to leave you with this, is that New Heights is a place of miracles, large and small. It's also a place of miracles yet to happen in our community as we're going through this tremendous growth spurt. I hope you will call us and set a time to come and see the magic that happens on the back of our horses. Now, Kristen?
Cindy is right. New Heights is a place of miracles, and we need to pull off a miracle on October 28th. October 28th is our main fundraiser, which is the garden party at Summer Grove. It's attended by more than 500 people throughout our community, but we still need our community's help to make this happen. We have tickets for sale on our website, newheightstherapy.org, and we also are still in need of donations if you know of anyone. We're looking for food donation, auction items, beverages, and of course, the always thankless job of volunteering. We need volunteers to help with setup, event support, as well as cleanup. We have a mantra at New Heights: more money to mission. In order to push every dime we can into our programs, we need to engage our community. Thank y'all for this opportunity tonight to let people know that we are here and also that they can be part of our little place of miracles. Thank y'all.
We have a certificate of recognition that we would like to present to the New Heights Therapeutic Program. Whereas New Heights Therapeutic Riding Center, located in St. Tammany Parish, under the leadership of Cindy Sibley as Director of Operations and a Board of Directors. New Heights provides therapeutic equestrian riding for children and adults with physical, emotional, and learning disabilities. And whereas the benefits of therapeutic riding builds muscle strength and tone, improves flexibility, balance, and coordination, and fosters greater freedom and mobility. And whereas therapeutic riding improves the attention span, communication skills, concentration, and memory of the students. And whereas the program provides invaluable services to those in need and is supported by donations and with the assistance of many volunteers. And whereas in 2011, New Heights served 53 riders in weekly lessons with 1,220 lessons, 167 volunteers donating 2,750 hours at the center. And whereas the emphasis is on the whole person, with all parts of the lesson reinforcing the physical, cognitive, and emotional health designed to achieve each one's individual plan. Now be it resolved that St. Tammany Parish recognizes the outstanding services provided by New Heights Therapeutic Riding Center on this 4th day of October 2012. And Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Second by Mr. Thompson. Vote with your lights.
Thank you. Cindy, if y'all would join me down front with Ms. Brister. We want to present this plaque and some copies of the recognition to New Heights. Thank you for all that you do.
Ms. Brister.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just take 1 minute, and you all have on your pink ribbons today, and I'm wearing pink, and it's a reminder that this month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So you'll be seeing a lot of pink, and particularly if you've watched NFL games, you'll see it on all the players. It is a big reminder to take advantage of every opportunity that is afforded to you through mammogram, self-examination, ultrasound. It's so vitally important to find that cancer before it gets any bigger or spreads. So thank you for letting me say that tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Groby, I believe you wanted to say something.
Also want to remind the audience that on October the 9th with the Harbor Center is the Bras for a Cause event also. So if you can support that, you definitely want to check that out at the Harbor Center from 6 p.m. until 9 approximately.
Thank you. Okay, I'd ask someone to make, propose a amendment to move up Resolution Council Series Number C-3528, resolution appointing Tony Oramus as member emeritus to the Board of Commissioners of St. Tammany Rec District 1 in honor of his years of service to the district and to the parish. Second by Mr. Tanner. Vote with your lights, moving it up.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Mr. Oramus, members of the district board, I ask you to come up, please. Is your Mr. Tony, is your Mr. Tony, is your family here?
Yes,
Yes.
Tell them come on up.
that's my family.
Miss Foley, you're not getting out of this.
Told her to wear clean clothes.
Thank you all for being here tonight.
I've been with the Recreation Department from Mandeville for the last 40-some odd years. I,
Turn the mic on for him, please. Turn it up a little bit.
And I've been with Pelican Park for the last 28 years, from the time they started, and I'd like to continue being a part of it, but I do have a problem of remembering names. Sometimes the words I want to say don't want to come out.
You've done that
You
for
know?
28 years. So.
But I still want to be involved within the park and be part of it.
Okay, let me read this certificate of recognition to Mr.
Okay.
Tony Aramis, permanent honorary member of Rec District Board Number 1. Whereas Mr. Tony Aramis was the first appointed by the St. Tammany Parish Police Jury to the Rec District Number 1 Board of Commissioners on April 16, 1987, to serve the youth and citizens of Ward 4, and has served honorably through his retirement in 2012. And whereas Mr. Tony has donated thousands of hours to Rec District 1, Pelican Park, as a board member for 25 years. His volunteerism goes back even further to the Fourth Ward Recreation, where he served as baseball commissioner and coach. In the early years, he and his wife Mel were always coaching, working the concessions, prepping the field, or registering players. His knowledge of baseball and philosophy of always keep the children in mind has been invaluable in thousands of decisions made while on the district board. And whereas Mr. Tony has played a vital role in the growth of Pelican Park and in shaping its direction to become a premier public sports facility of the South. And whereas, though he has retired from being an appointed voting member of the Board of Commissioners, his knowledge and experience in community recreation continues to be of great value to the district. And whereas it is the desire of the Parish Council to recognize and honor Mr. Tony's dedication, knowledge, and expertise and experience in community recreation, I jumped over, knowledge, expertise, by requesting that he continue to serve as District Board of Commissioner as a pleasure as a member emeritus. The Parish of St. Tammany hereby resolves that it appoints Tony Aramis as member emeritus to the Board of Commissioners, St. Tammany Rec District Number 1, in honor of his years of service to the district and parish. Need a motion? Second by Canulette. Vote with your lights, please.
Motion is unanimous, no one absent.
Standing ovation, Tony. Standing ovation. Standing ovation. Congrats. Here comes Marty and Pat.
Mr. Tony, thank you for all your service.
Congratulations, and thank you for everything you did. Thank you.
Here's your plaque. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can't let him go behind that easy.
Thank all of you.
You know, it's not very often that you find somebody so dedicated and so wonderful. We're truly blessed to have this man.
Mr. Chairman, while you're headed back, do you mind if I make an introduction?
Yes, ma'am.
Ronnie Simpson was not here with us last meeting because he was working with FEMA. Ronnie is our new information officer, and I wanted everybody to be able to see his face and say hello. We're excited about his being here. Suzanne is retiring at the end of the year, so he will start working with her right away and learning the ropes, but please call on him whenever you need him. He's a real professional, and he's been through the fires with FEMA, so I think he can handle us.
Welcome aboard. Need a motion to move up item number 1 from off the floor. Actually, we need to vote. So that's, the motion is to open up the off the floor. Second by
Second.
Canulette. Vote with your lights on opening up the off the floor items.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Okay, I need a motion to move up item 1 off the floor. Second, vote with your lights. All right, item number 1. Oh, excuse me. Unanimous.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Okay, item number 1 is presentation from Shannon Davis, Director of Public Works, regarding debris removal. Mr. Davis.
Mr. Chairman, I've asked Gina Campo to give you
Okay.
the numbers and the information. That's her area that she's been in with Shannon the whole time.
Ms. Campo.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me brief you on where we are with our debris operations. We have, as you know, been engaged with debris pickup since Isaac passed, and those debris operations started on September 6th. Shortly after the storm, we did send all kinds of teams into the field, mostly our public works teams, also engineering teams, et cetera, to assess damage and look for the debris field and to plot our strategy on how we were going to go ahead and attack the debris. And like I said, we did mobilize our contractor, and they started actually putting crews in the field on September 6th. They are continuing through today. We've made a lot of progress since the 6th. We're actually averaging approximately 62 truckloads a day, with about 2,400 cubic yards of debris being picked up every day. So as of yesterday, through the end of the day, we had approximately 70,000 cubic yards of debris that we picked up. That is about 1,800 loads of debris. Those loads of debris include vegetative debris, construction debris that's being hauled out of homes that have been flooded. It also includes trees that are being picked up. We've had also a number of leaners and hangers, what we call dangerous trees that are impinging on the right-of-way or could be cause a hazard or to fall into the right-of-way. So we're having crews address those at this time. We are continuing these operations. We estimate that we are over 50% through with the operations, and we are urging all of the citizens to keep up the good work with getting everything curbside and keeping it segregated. The work to segregate the debris really slows down the operations, and so everyone's been doing a really good job of that, and I encourage everybody to continue to do that. Basically, we hope to have these operations done within the next 2 to 4 weeks, and we hope that everybody will get their debris out as soon as possible because as we go through a particular area, we want to be able to get all the debris at that time. If we have to go back for 1 or 2 loads, that really slows down the operations and it makes it more difficult for the crews. So we're hoping that once we get into an area, we can get all of the debris and get it out there at that time. We also have other debris that's being identified to be taken out after the fact. So if a crew comes through and there's some type of hazardous debris or in terms of creosote pilings or maybe a refrigerator, that will be marked and we will come back and get it later. So residents should know that we will be coming back to collect that type of debris later. But I should say that we have collected a lot of vegetative debris, including marsh grass, from all of the lower-lying areas in the parish, including the areas in Mandeville, the coastal areas in Lacombe, and also, of course, in Slidell. So that was where we did get the most debris as far as vegetative debris. We had a lot of flooded homes on the east side of the parish and on the west side of the parish, and so as those folks were coming back and getting their houses back in order, we then saw the piles of construction debris, and so we've been, going back and picking that up. So again, we continue our operations, and we thank everybody for working with us and following the segregation rules and getting their debris out as soon as possible.
Gina, you know, I've been emailing you and Shannon more so than you. The planning that the parish did, I think, was well. It was good. The execution by the contractor and his trucks are not. My subdivision, the first notices to go into cross gates to remove was about 3 weeks ago. We're now bringing people in there just starting. Last Friday, a truck shows up, immediately breaks down, put oil over North Buckingham, shut down the area completely. The second truck in the subdivision comes to assist the first truck that broke down. So they took one pile of debris out in about 9 hours. They did not come back on Saturday or Sunday. They were supposed to be Monday. The truck that arrived on Monday, it broke down. So today, they finally came through. It was our Public Works crew. Did more in a half a day than the contractor did in all those weeks. I'm just telling you myself, I'm highly dissatisfied with the contractor's performance, and he's got a long way to go. Thank you.
I appreciate your comments. One of the challenges with debris is that they are a lot of times at the mercy of their subcontractors, and with a debris field that's very widespread and in some areas spotty, sometimes it's not the most efficient operation, but we're working with them very closely to try and get those trouble areas picked up.
Mr. Davis? You, no?
Did you want to comment?
Just here to support.
Mr. Falconer? Yeah, I don't,
I have to say that Shannon's operation is just top notch, and he and his crews are helping to direct the debris operations on a day-to-day basis. So he's out in the field helping the debris monitors do reconnaissance and determine where we need to go, where we need to go back, if there are any areas that need to be readdressed or that haven't been addressed yet. So we could not do it without them. They're just great.
We're trying to cover the parish with we've got 1,534 miles of road, and a large part of that has debris on it, scattered up and down. We've been trying to cover that with about 18 trucks, and they've got them tied together with string and masking tape. So they just keep breaking down, but we're doing the best we can.
Mr. Groby?
One of the things I do is want to thank you, Shannon, because one of the things I've had to explain to some of the calls that complain, feeling they're not hitting it up fast enough, it's not so much the cubic yardage these trucks can hold, it's the weight limit to trucks. When they're picking up these pine trees and these oak trees, that's an immense weight, and there's a certain weight limit these trucks have to abide by in order to get them on the highway. So that kind of slows it down a little bit. It's not the fault of the Public Works Department, but I know it's a massive amount of tree debris we've got to move.
Mr. Falconer?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Shannon and Gina. I mean, in my district, your crews have been very responsive, and of course, you guys have been responsive to my request, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Canulin?
Yes. I'd like to also thank the Public Works guys, that they really do a good job. We've been getting hammered pretty good on the emails, me and Gene on this. We do appreciate all the work y'all doing. I guess my question is, now that y'all are showing up, is there a place the constituents can go online and see where y'all are going to be in the next few days? And do we have a number out there that they can call y'all for direct pickup?
We've been giving that information to Suzanne every day of where we've been and where. Sometimes best laid plans of men and mice, you know. When the trucks break down, sometimes we don't get there.
Right.
We have been putting out a blast every day as
Okay.
to where the projected areas are, and that's also on our website. Of course, we get calls into the Public Works Department, and those are tracked. So we can compare that to what the monitors are seeing in the field and address those areas if we're getting calls about debris that we missed or an area that we did not hit.
And the Public Works Department does forward every one of the complaints that your guys call in, your constituents or either you, we forward that to the contractor immediately.
Okay, Mr. Bender?
Yes, Gina, first, thank you for everything you've done. I certainly appreciate it. Shannon, I gotta say, I'm gonna eliminate the word complaint from what I'm gonna say, okay? You're top notch. you're responsive to council members. I know you're responsive to me, and I know that you don't pick and choose. That tells me you're responsive to all of us, okay? And I just want to congratulate you on the day-to-day job that you do. When that position came open, you know how I felt, and I want you to know I haven't changed my mind. I still feel the same way. And all of your people in my area do a fabulous job. Please thank them for me.
Thank you.
Mr. Stefanczyk?
I too want to thank him, and I would make sure that the council knows that they need to stop by their barn and thank the guys personally if they've been doing it. Those guys are out working hard today. You know, they finally got above Interstate 12, and it's been the Parish trucks, not the contractor. And those guys are out there, and they're doing a fantastic job. The leaves and stuff, they bring the rakes and everything. When they leave, yeah, there are some brown spots because the debris sat there a while. But I'll tell you what, they clean up the yards, and I've had nothing but very good compliments from everybody from what they've done. So keep up the good work. None of our trucks broke down, so we're getting the debris moved. But I think that the people and all of us need to understand that I think when you have a contractor that bids something like this, where past experience says Katrina hit us and when you went down in front of a house, you loaded the truck 3 times. Now you go through a whole subdivision and sometimes may not get a load. Well, if you're only getting so much a yard and then you have to haul it to Mississippi now, people need to understand the differences in what we're dealing with as compared to what we did in the past. And I think quite frankly, it's going, well, they started in the worst areas, which is what they should have done, and I hope everybody understands that's what they should do, and keep going and move north, because there's less as we go north than there was down around Coin-to-Leston and places like that, which I turned over to Richie, and so he now has that problem of marsh grass and everything. But the trees and everything north of the interstate, we've had some down, but they've really cleaned them up good. I want to thank you, and I stopped the guys today and talked to Lonnie and the guys, and they really did a good job, so thank you.
Richie?
And Steve, I would like to thank you for passing that marsh grass on to me.
I knew you'd like it.
And Shannon, every time I've called anybody over there, and if they've responded immediately, I called you the other day and asked you about Salt Bayou Road, and you said, man, I forgot about it. The next day it was clean. I mean, it's one little area that gets forgotten, but you got out there and cleaned it. The next day it was done. So I can't thank you enough for what you've done for us. I'd like to ask about the highways. I know we're not doing the highways, but the highways are getting cleaned up, but they're leaving everybody that puts stuff in a plastic bag is still there. I mean, and they're not picking anybody's plastic bags up, and they got tons of them out there on 433. I just don't know if y'all know if they're gonna come back and get those later, because
We can find out, but the issue with putting things in plastic bags is that if it's vegetative, you can't take the plastic bag to the same place that you take the vegetative debris. So, and that's one of the reasons why we had put out that information early on.
I think a
that
lot of these people took the
Please don't put it in garbage bags because it
marsh
causes
grass
a
and got
problem with DEQ.
hundreds of bags out there now, and they won't pick them up, so I don't know.
We'll follow up with DOTD and see how they plan on handling it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thanks again, Shannon.
Gene, I just have one more comment. It's just directed at the contractor or the contract specifications. One thing I think we need to look at is the criteria of the equipment from the contractor and the subcontractors that he hires. Just from the vehicles I've seen in the military road area, they would not be acceptable to the garbage service district to pick up household waste. These are just what Shannon said. You look at some of these trucks, they're held together with baling wire. So these guys have become from other areas. Maybe you can have something in the contract that we look at haulers that are local, something to take into consideration on a post-mortem basis.
Sure. Just 2 points. This is a contract that is bid out ahead of time, so it's in place prior to the storm, and it's subject to federal guidelines. So there are prohibitions against any local preferences under federal law, and also it is a unit item bid, which means that basically we have to do it by a cubic yard. there are other ways that we can look at, possibly giving some, performance measures or guidelines. So we will take a look at that.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
your
you.
comment.
Mr. Smith, I see you have your light on.
Thank you very much. I don't want to sound like that this is the make love to Shannon Davis night. But I couldn't pass up the opportunity to highlight an occasion that I had this past Sunday morning on my way out the door to church. And I get a call from a constituent. I mean, she was crying and she was at her wit's end because water was about to enter her house from some flooding. And I said, Lord have mercy, not Sunday morning. And so I thought she was exaggerating, but when I got there, she wasn't exaggerating. So I said, who do I call? So I called your barn foreman, Mark Crawford. I'm going to call him by name, okay? And I watched him for 2 hours stand in a canal waist deep and unclog this situation to eliminate flooding for not just this lady, but an entire neighborhood. And I want you and he and the rest of your crew to know that we are beginning to understand and appreciate even more so now what you guys do. Thank you very much, and pass that on to him for me.
Sure will.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Okay, I need a motion to move up item number 8 from off the floor. By Mr. Bender, second by Mr. Belisario. Vote with your lights to move it up.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Okay, resolution recognizing St. Tammany Parish Public School System for earning the highest ACT scores among all Louisiana public school districts. Mr. Bender.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone from the school board here with us?
I did speak with Mr. Foltz a week or so ago, but I think he had a previous commitment. Yeah, they
Yeah.
do, that's correct. Same tonight. But the important thing is when I read in the newspaper what I read, I felt the need to put together a resolution because, there's been some angst in the last year among teachers and so forth about some changes and et cetera, okay? And I'm sure we have some good teachers here in the room tonight. So when I read this, I have to say, this is one of the most pleasurable resolutions that I'm going to read in 14 and a half years of public service, including the last 8 and a half on the parish council. Whereas for the 22nd time in 23 years, the St. Tammany Parish school system earned the highest ACT scores among all Louisiana public school districts in 2012. And by the way, the one time that they didn't was last year. West Feliciana, who finished second to us this year, we finished second to them last year. We have finished first 22 out of the last 23 years and second last year. And by the way, I have to also add, I believe this wholly. If we were to add in all of the parochial and private schools as well in St. Tammany Parish, where I know there's equally great educations, these numbers would be high just like this. And whereas the ACT is a national college admissions examination that consists of subject area tests in English, math, reading and science, and student results are accepted by all 4 colleges, all 4-year colleges and universities in the United States. Whereas with average scores of 21.9, St. Tammany High School students, and there were 1,475 of them that took it, the second highest amount of young people in the state. Only Jefferson Parish, that has more than double our population, about 1,850 of their students took the exam. With average scores of 21.9, St. Tammany High School students performed better than the state average score of 20.2 and the national average of 21.1. We hear about Louisiana being 48th, 49th, and 50th. We're way above the national average. It's not even close. Whereas the St. Tammany Public School System's consistent #1 status in state ACT scores is the direct result of an educational foundation laid in elementary school, further developed in middle schools, and brought to fruition in high school. And whereas because of this system-wide effort leading to the ACT success of our students, all teachers must be recognized, public, private, parochial, all, and commended for their individual and collective contributions to this impressive accomplishment by our students who we're so proud of. For these reasons, the Parish of St. Tammany hereby resolves to recognize and congratulate the St. Tammany Parish Public School System and students for earning the highest ACT scores among all Louisiana public school districts for the 22nd time in 23 years, and commending all St. Tammany public school teachers and all of our teachers on the North Shore for their contributions to this achievement. I think this is just one of the most outstanding accomplishments that I've read about St. Tammany Parish in the 37 years I've lived in this parish. And Mr. Chairman, I move on this resolution.
Second by Mr. Artigue. Vote with your lights.
Motion is unanimous, one absent.
Okay. All right, moving on to the consent calendar. That was number 8. That was number 8.
We're done.
Thank you. Thank you. Any items not, consent calendar, any items not pulled from the consent calendar are automatically approved in whole by one vote. Items pulled from the consent calendar are discussed and voted on individually. I have the following items to pull under ordinances for introduction. Number 1, 4812. Number 5, 4890. Number 10, 4895. Under resolutions, I have items 1, 2, and 5. That would be C-3472, C-3517, and C-3520. Are there any other items that need to be pulled?
Mr. Chairman, we pulled item number 5 under resolutions at the Agenda Review Committee.
Yes, sir.
And had the questions answered, so there's no reason to pull it unless someone else has a question tonight.
Okay, anyone want to pull it? Okay, we'll strike that then. So, okay, let's get started. What? Yeah. I need a motion on the consent calendar, please. Second by Mr. Smith. Vote with your lights.
Motion is unanimous, no one absent.
All right, first item pulled, ordinance calendar number 4812, ordinance to amend the Parish Unified Development Code regarding buffer, setback, and height regulations in MD3 and MD4. We need to amend this. You have the amendment on your desk, fall in front of you. I need someone to move on the amendment. Mr. Stefancic, and second by Mr. Artigue. Vote on the amendment.
Motion is unanimous, no one absent.
All right, need someone to introduce. Mr. Stefancic, second by Mr. Canulette. That's all we need to do with that item. Next item, ordinance calendar number 4890, ordinance to authorize the parish president to grant a non-exclusive utility servitude to Washington St. Tammany Electric Cooperative along Highway 1129 at Johnny Smith Road, Memorial Road. This is in Ward 2, District 6. Mr. Tanner?
I move, I move to refer to, for adoption.
Motion for adoption, second by Mr. Belisario. Vote with your lights.
You didn't need to vote. It's just for,
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. All right, ordinance calendar number 4895, ordinance to amend Chapter 9 of the Parish Code of Ordinances, Article 8, Section 9-071, Garbage District Number 1, boundaries, to expand the boundaries of said district. Mr. Bellisario.
I'd like to remove this as a duplication.
Okay, motion to remove, second by Mr. Canulet. Vote with your lights to remove it.
Mr. Tanner? Motion is unanimous, no one absent.
All right, next item is Resolution Council Series Number C 3517, a resolution approving the holding of an election in Recreation District Number 2 of the Parish of St. Tammany, State of Louisiana, on Saturday, December 8th, 2012, to authorize the levy of a special tax therein. Mr. Tanner.
So move.
Second by Mr. Thompson. Vote with your lights.
Motion is unanimous, no one absent.
Okay, you didn't hit
Mr.
the
Chairman,
flag.
did you pull item 1?
Yeah, I'm fixing to do that now. It wasn't flagged on my agenda. All right, Resolution Council Series Number C 3472, a resolution approving the issuance of not exceeding $600,000 of limited tax certificates, Series 2012, St. Tammany Parish, St. Tammany Fire Protection District Number 4, State of Louisiana. Mr. Falconer?
So moved.
Actually, they want to table this, or postpone it until next month.
I move that we table. I was
Okay,
not aware
second
of
by
that.
Mr. Thompson. All right, vote on the postponement, please.
Motion is unanimous, no one absent.
Okay. Under appeals, first item is Wayne Burris, representing Kelly McHugh, appealing the zoning commission denial on August 7th, 2012, to rezone 150.97 acres from the south of East Brewster Road, west of Chifuncta River, from MD1 to A3 and A4 to MD1, A3, A4, and PUD, Plan Unit Development, Ward 1, District 1. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Gould. Paul Marone on behalf of the developers. The property subject to our request this evening is 150.9 acres. It's located just south of the Sterling River Chase development at I-12 and the Chifuncta River. This tract was part of the Slaughter family tract, which included the most recent portion of the addition to Chifuncta Club Estates. It was noted on the agenda that this matter comes as an appeal to a denial by the zoning commission, and while that may technically be true, and I think Mr. Hand has done some research on that, I felt it necessary at least to explain to the council kind of how we got here. At the commission, after the debate on the case, there was a motion by one of the commissioners to table it, which failed for a second. Then there was a motion to approve the project, which garnered 4 votes with 2 votes against. While more votes were cast for the project, because there's a 6-vote minimum to take the action, the matter failed. So we come to you on appeal, but with the staff's recommendation of approval and with actually more votes at the commission than against the project. It's important for the council to know that the request before you tonight is not to rezone the property. The zoning on the property was put in place during the comprehensive rezoning, and we are not here requesting a change to that zoning. We're simply asking for a PUD overlay. The underlying zoning is predominantly A3. There is about 4 acres of the 150 that is A4, so a very small portion is A4 as opposed to the A3. Now, with the A3, that's a half-acre density. And as I'll note in a moment, our density is actually less than is allowed under the existing underlying zone. To give you an idea of the abutting properties, all of the properties that abut us have
as intense use or a more intense zoning than we have. We actually abut an A6 multifamily parcel, we abut an MD1 parcel, we abut an NC2 parcel, and we abut another PUD. So I would submit to you that what we're proposing is very much in line with what's in the area. The plan is all single-family residential. As I mentioned, our density is less than the underlying zoning allows. We're proposing 214 residential lots, which is a 1.4 unit per acre density. However, the zoning would allow 232 lots. So we're already well beneath the maximum allowed as far as the density goes. We're also preserving 55 acres of the development in green space, which amounts to about 36%. That is with half credit for the canal that we're proposing to construct, which I'll talk more about in a few minutes. As with any PUD, of course, we'll have central utilities. It's important to note that the utilities for this project will go off-site. There will be no on-site facilities for this PUD. And we'll have the requisite amenities like a raised walkway, gazebos, piers, slips, and a natural walking path through our green space area. An issue arose at the commission regarding a portion of our common property line with Tchefuncte Club Estates. And as I said, our track is a sister track and was part of the same track as Tchefuncte's new addition. There is an area of about 600 feet along that shared border where Tchefuncte has 7 lots that actually front, or the homes on there would face our property. However, it's important to note that on that property line, the 2 tracks straddle, or what straddles the property line with Tchefuncte is a 125-foot CLECO right-of-way, which means that there is 125 feet, 62.5 on one side, which my clients own, 62.5 on the other, where no homes can be built. So there's required green space there. However, there is a concern that these homes will be looking at the rear of the homes on our property. So I want to make sure everybody understands that the lot lines, as we propose them right now in this area, are 190 feet apart. We have residential next to residential, but there is 190 feet of separation between these lots. In addition to the 62.5 feet that were set back off our property line, we are also proposing an additional 25-foot buffer at the rear of these lots, which would give us just over 87 feet from our property line to the first rear lot line. Notwithstanding all that, notwithstanding the buffers that are there, notwithstanding the buffers that we're proposing,
You're into your rebuttal time now.
we are also proposing plantings along this strip, 600 feet of Acadian holly at 45-gallon containers with 12